right, board fam, I am very excited, very, very, very excited to watch this video with you today. I don't want to oversell this. I don't want to, but this could quite possibly be one of the greatest examples of grift on grift violence that I've ever witnessed. It's Robert Meyer Burnett versus the world, versus everybody else on this panel. And I'm not a fan of anybody in this video, but Robert Meyer Burnett dog walks every single person on this panel. It is incredible to me. And it tells me a few things. It tells me that Robert is intelligent enough to understand when he's doing media grifting and when he isn't, which makes him a little bit more offensive, I guess, than these other guys, because the other ones are just so ignorant and stupid. They're incapable of doing anything else except media grifting. So that's why they're fighting so hard against Robert. And they also, you see what happens. The reason why I love this video, we're going to watch it in a second. I can't wait to hit the play button. But you get to see in their space what happens when they start getting pushback from people within their own bubble who are a lot smarter than they are. I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm not team anybody in this video, but it is absolutely incredible to watch Robert Meyer Burnett dog walk everybody and do it with so much more intelligence than everybody else on this panel. This is a film threat video, but it's a panel of people. It's like 11 minutes long. Let's get into this.
We're talking the Odyssey backlash. Chris Nolan says it's irrelevant. I do think it's relevant. Blaine said he was talking.
I don't think it's relevant. I think what he means by irrelevant is he doesn't think it's going to affect his movie, and I agree with him. I don't think the dumb shit that you guys have been talking about is going to affect his movie. And I 100% think he's right.
Talking to normie friends, they know about it.
Who cares?
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Anecdotal examples do not tell us anything. It's one of the dumbest ways you can try and prove your point. Like, you're looking at, like, I could make up a story and go, well, 20 of my friends are buying tickets. They don't care about any of this drama. And then you go, well, 20 of my friends do. Okay, so where are we? Nowhere. Gets us nowhere. Anecdotal examples are just, they're playing on people's emotions. They don't mean anything.
Well, have you looked at how many IMAX screenings are sold out and for how long?
Yeah, weeks in advance.
In advance.
The IMAX,
Well, the IMAX 70 millimeter.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I'll admit that's a special screening, and people are eager for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the other screens.
Well, I guess I don't really understand. I mean, as somebody who, I'm a fan of when directors take classical stories and reinterpret them, like Baz Luhrmann doing Romeo and Juliet, or like the Ian McKellen Richard III, which is amazing, set in World War II. Now is the winter of my discontent. And, a story like the Odyssey, since when has everybody turned on Christopher Nolan?
That's a really good point. And that's one of the things I have thought about quite often when I'm making these videos, when I've talked about the Odyssey, is trying to paint Nolan as some sort of like DEI director who only does modern progressive stuff, and that's just the way he works or and whatnot. That just isn't Christopher Nolan. It's just not. There's no example and no proof of that. So anytime somebody goes, oh, he's doing this for awards or he's doing it for XYZ, they're saying that with literally no evidence whatsoever. Christopher Nolan is the guy that goes against studios. He pushes back against studios. He is quite literally the guy that does whatever the fuck he wants to do. So now he's the villain because he cast a couple black people in the Odyssey. That's where we are. That's in 2026. These folks that are so racist and bigoted have been cornered so much that they have to lash out at every single thing and create an enemy out of all of it. It's pathetic.
Or as I like to call him, C-Note. I mean, he's taking a huge swing. What's that?
Pattern
recognition. Is it Tenet?
Well, the thing about Tenet is I didn't like Tenet. I didn't like the mechanics of time travel. It felt a little goofy to me, but it's certainly beautifully made. And it's a movie.
Tenet. I feel like I'm the only one.
Yeah.
I've returned to it over and over again, and I think we are conflating a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, Christopher Nolan has earned my all the way back to Following in Memento. When he first came on the scene, I hadn't seen Following yet. I saw it later when I got it on the Criterion disc that was put out. But I loved Memento. And then when he went on and did Insomnia, I'd seen the original version. And I thought, you know, his Insomnia was great, and he proved that he could work for a studio. And then they gave him an impossible task, which was to reboot Batman after Batman and Robin. And he acquitted himself with much aplomb with that.
So I want to point out what Robert is doing here is he's establishing that Christopher Nolan has a lot of like work that he's put into his craft that has reached out and touched so many people. Studios trust him, audiences trust him. He's one of those directors that lives in a space in entertainment where it doesn't make any sense to try and paint him the way everybody's painting him. And I think the snarky little, what about Tenet? So like one thing out of a bunch of things doesn't mean that he's a director that pushes DEI. So you have a movie that like, oh, this isn't everybody's favorite movie. And, you know, money-wise, it didn't perform well because of circumstances. But you're going to use that as an example to prove that he's pushing some sort of agenda. And the Badger guy up here in the corner, wait till he starts talking. It's just crackpot shit.
Film. And I didn't think Batman Begins was perfect by any means. But his approach and seriousness with which he took on the material, and then after that, The Prestige, which was a literary adaptation, then The Dark Knight, and then Inception. I'm a huge fan of Christopher Nolan. I don't think he's as great. Like, I didn't love Interstellar as much as other people did, but I think he's one of our great filmmakers. He's got his own particular style, and just because he wanted to adapt the Odyssey, I don't care what he's doing until I've seen it.
Exactly. Bingo. Ding, 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 ding. Bingo. Go and see it and then form your opinion about it. We watched a video with Alan and Chris this week, these two bozos who spent months poisoning the well for the movie, DEI this and Helen of Detroit and all this bullshit these guys were doing. They went and saw the movie and realized, oh, wait, that's not what this movie is. These things don't really affect the film. So I may not like Robert Meyer Burnett, but I respect him for saying that. And this is how I feel about any of these guys when I watch them, is that if you go and you watch the movie and you decide you don't like the movie, I don't really have an issue with that unless you're going to lie about what makes the movie bad. Like you're going to make things up. Like Critical Drinker's Predator Badlands review, which was full of things that prove that he didn't actually watch the fucking movie. Or at the very least, he watched a version of it that was online that was cut up to hell. But form your opinion after you see the movie. You don't spend months bashing it. Now, I will say this, Robert Meyer Burnett has done this himself, where he's talked about stuff way outside of its release date, said negative stuff about it. So it's not like he's practicing what he's preaching, but at least he's saying it. And that's exactly what I've been saying.
Piqued my interest. And I'm willing to sit down. And it's the first movie ever shot entirely in IMAX.
Yeah, 100%.
That's great. I mean, you bring up Baz Luhrmann, right? I love that version of Romeo and Juliet. That is a reinterpretation of it, and you can absolutely tell that is a reinterpretation.
Yeah.
Like that is something that is extremely different. It is set in the modern day, but they're still using that Shakespearean language. Like it is such a great film and an amazing interpretation. I think that a lot of people are looking at this in a different light and saying that, like, if he was doing something like that with the Odyssey, then that would be different. I don't think we would have.
Well, you don't want, so let me get this right. You want Homeric Greek being spoken in a modern day setting. That to you makes more sense than just making the movie in the right time period, but making it so people are speaking English that we can understand. What the fuck? So you want to read subtitles and have every actor in the movie learn Homeric Greek in order to make the film more authentic? That makes no sense. And honestly, this is one of the dumbest takes because she doesn't want this. No one on this panel wants to go watch a movie where everybody is speaking in a form of Greek that they don't understand, and they have to read subtitles on a movie shot in IMAX. So you're looking away from the visuals to read the subtitles. That makes no fucking sense whatsoever. This is the stupidity of this community. Absolute stupidity.
These conversations, but he's gone out there and done all of these interviews, and I've watched almost every single one of them, saying how he wants to honor the text, how he's going the extra length to make sure that everything is accurate. And then you have these castings and you have all of these changes that he's making.
Well, the shocking thing is no one in the movie is Greek. No one in the movie is Greek. I don't know why I have to keep saying this. I don't know why this is a problem. If you're going to be mad that he cast black people in the movie, you should be mad that he cast white British people and white Americans in the movie because they're not Greek. This is performative bigotry. You're concern trolling about holding up the fidelity of these poems from Homer. We don't even know who the fuck Homer was. Right? You're asking for the fidelity of this, but you don't actually want the fidelity because you have already said here in the statement that you're okay with what they did with Romeo and Juliet. You're like, oh, that's okay, that's fine, because I like the way he did it. So you're agreeing that a director can take something and change it into whatever they want, but that thing that they change it into has to be something that you like specifically, or they shouldn't be allowed to do it. It's dumb shit.
So he's going out and saying one thing but doing another, and I think that that's why a lot of people have issues with what he's doing with the Odyssey.
Yeah, like what do you always say, Rob? Authenticity is the currency of the day, and this doesn't feel authentic at all. This does not feel authentic to.
That's subjective. That's a subjective take. It's not. There's no material way to prove that. That's just how you feel about it.
Greek mythology, Greek lore, what Homer was doing. He's kind of taking his own, he's doing parts of it.
Greek lore? I mean, mythology is true, but okay, let's continue.
But then he's, say, okay, we're going to have, Lupita as Helen of Troy. Like those types of things is what's rubbing people the wrong way because it doesn't feel authentic to what we thought we were going to get an authentic retelling of Homer's The Odyssey.
Okay, well then you would need it in Greek, and every actor would have to be Greek. That's what you want, right? Oh wait, no, you're not complaining about that. Sorry. You want authentic, but that just means white people.
Seems like everything but. So I think that's the big problem with the backlash. That's where the backlash is coming from mostly.
But I just see it as like it's Ray Harryhausen doing Jason and the Argonauts. It's a different Homer's story.
I just want to point out, look up in the right corner. That's Angry Badger. He is so annoyed right now because he wants everybody on this panel to share the opinion about this bigoted opinion on the panel. And the fact that he understands that Robert Meyer Burnett is literally already dog walking the panel, already with intelligence and actually looking at it like an adult. And he knows that he's going to have to argue some stupid point to try and sway things in his direction. He's already annoyed. He's like stewing in his chair. It's hilarious.
We don't even know. It's not like it's history.
Well, it is. That's what mythology is. It's a fantastical telling of known history.
All right, let me stop you right there, Badger. Mythology is not a fantastical telling of history. That's just inaccurate. Mythology is like folklore, right? So it's not really some story about real people. That's not what mythology is. So you can't verify elements of mythology. You look at mythology and you're like, I'm looking for like evidence-based facts, right? Some sort of material things that I can latch onto. The only thing in mythology you might find that contains those kinds of things are maybe places and culture, archaeological finds, things like that. Mythology is just folklore. It's just folklore. These are oral stories that have been passed down through generations where we don't even know if these stories are accurate to what they originally were. It's like a 1,000 year old like fucking game of telephone. That's what it is. So it's not history. What a dumb thing to say. Mythology is not history.
One is specifically for the Greeks because mythology and I think what people are picking up on is the fact that, boy, it just seems like people's culture are only important when it's not Western and or anything white adjacent. And then
but you're not arguing for their culture. You've mentioned Greek several times. No one in the movie is fucking Greek. So it's so performative. Listen, guys, I want to make this very clear because I think it's something that I've said many times. And people in the comments get confused by this. If you are asking for characters to be real and the fidelity to be real to the culture of Greek people, then you would want all Greek actors. And you could argue from that position, and I would have no problem with that, simply because I do believe that is a fair criticism. To say, hey, it's a story about Greek people, it's their mythology, it's their folklore. Maybe we should have Greek people in the movie. Maybe that's what we should be doing. If that were your argument, your position, I would go, you know what? You're right. Maybe you should. Maybe he fucked up. Maybe he fucked up big time. But I'm seeing that the vast majority of people don't care if there's no Greek people in this film. They don't give a shit, right? They don't mind at all. But they have a big problem with black people in the film, even though white people are not interchangeable with Greek. It doesn't matter that these guys believe that Greek people would have had a lighter complexion or white skin. It doesn't even matter. There are different white people around the world that aren't connected together culturally. They're just white. There's a lot of black people around the world, people of color around the world that don't connect to each other simply because of the color of their skin. Greek people, especially the ones in these mythological stories, would be Greek. Period. So you're not actually arguing for that, which is what makes this entire conversation so performative. But let's continue.
For everything, and why don't you just trust it? But if it's anything else,
well,
it's super, including Lupita admitting that she didn't do the Woman King because she didn't think she was right for the role and she wanted that mythology to be upheld. So it's just very interesting on what we have standards on.
But to be fair, the entire world itself was much smaller back then. And it's like we talk about the Greeks as if we knew them. And you're looking at thousands of years of previous history, and the Odyssey and the Iliad was an oral story that was passed down before it was ever written down.
And I do love oral, but it is still fucking the mythology of the Greeks. And we have genealogy. Yeah. We can absolutely tell what they look like, and I promise you they didn't look like Lupita.
It doesn't even matter. You're still not advocating for Greek people to be in the movie.
Just years of this. We're all tired of it.
But I would have to say, if you look at the geography of the area of the world that we're discussing, yes, even the Greeks, I mean, you only have an interpretation of the world that was given to us by actually a small number of people that live there, sculptors and artists and things like that. It's not like we have all this video. And if you think about if you look at how close, say, Greece was to Africa.
You are fucking doing all the Olympics to get this.
I'm not doing all the Olympics. You guys are talking about it from 2,000 years into the future. Yes. And I'm just saying that this is a story that is fiction. Mm-hmm. It's always been fiction.
It is mythology, and there's a big difference between fiction and mythology.
Yeah. All right, just for the people in the back, mythology, in this sense, in the story of the Odyssey, would be considered a fictional story. The characters in this story don't exist. We have no evidence that any of the big characters in the Odyssey existed in the way they were portrayed in the story. It's got creatures, it's got supernatural elements. There's just nothing there that tells us any of it is real. Now, a book like the Odyssey, a collection of poems, would be categorized in the nonfiction section of a library, because they're poetry. Therefore, it's a different thing. It's classified differently. But the story itself is considered a work of fiction. This is one of those things where people who don't understand this shit say these things, and they don't even know what they're talking about. When Robert Meyer Burnett says, and I hate to defend him here, that it is fiction, folklore is fiction. Mythology is fictional. Elements of them may take place in real places in the world. They might have elements of them like cultures and civilizations that are real, but the stories themselves are fictional stories. This is so dumb. This is quite literally dumb.
Yeah.
There is?
Don't you think
there's a big difference, because mythology is baked into someone's culture and someone's history. It's not.
That doesn't mean it's real. That doesn't mean it's nonfiction. It's stupid.
Just something they just made up out of the top of the.
It is made up. It quite literally is made up. What are we doing? What the fuck are we doing?
Dome, like mythology.
To give these arguments
Norse
on
mythology
other things.
is based on the people from that region, and you don't just kind of say, "Well,
no, it isn't." None of the characters in the Odyssey are proven to be real people. We have no evidence that any of the people in those stories actually existed. Not even Helen of Troy. who they love to talk about as a white person. Helen of Troy. We have no evidence that Helen of Troy existed that I've ever seen.
That's just fake. No, it's part of their culture, part of who they are.
I'm with you, but
okay, that's so it's not just fiction. Like, okay, like
it is.
Black Panther is
well,
fiction.
but it is fiction.
But Black Panther is essentially the Black Panther today is modern mythology, right? It's a modern mythology. If you don't believe me, type it into Google. Are today's superheroes considered modern mythology? And the answer is going to be yes. Because the argument that he is making here is that because it's connected to a community, and that community is in a certain location in the world, and that location is real, then that means all of these things are historically relevant stories, right? That's what he's saying. But Spider-Man takes place in New York City, a real place, in the United States, around other American characters, but they're not real people. That's what the Odyssey is. The Odyssey is like a comic book from thousands of years ago. That's what it is. So pretending like, oh, well, Black Panther, like, I'm going to compare Black Panther and Wakanda. Yeah, exactly. That's the same thing as the fucking Odyssey. It's just in modern times.
I mean, this is a story that has gods in it.
It is, but at the same time, it's baked deeply into the roots of a country and of a nation and of a people.
If we're talking about the Odyssey being baked into culture, it's not just Greek culture. Like, if you want to make the argument that the Odyssey, the story of the Odyssey, is relevant culturally, it is much larger than that. It's the blueprint for the hero's journey. So stuff like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, all of these things are adaptations of the story in the Odyssey in a different way. It's a blueprint, a foundation for that. So it's not baked into Greek culture where it's uniquely Greek and only Greek people can celebrate the elements of the Odyssey. The Odyssey is quite literally the blueprint for the classic hero's journey that has been done culturally all around the world since people have started telling stories.
And I don't think you should just jump in and just say, I'm gonna do whatever I want with it because it didn't really happen. I don't.
But also, you're still not advocating for Greek people to, like, if you want to, look, to be quite honest, if you wanted to argue that this needs like a Greek director, Greek writers adapting it, Greek actors, again, if you wanted to argue that, I'd be okay with it. You want it spoken in Greek, Homeric Greek. Okay, go for it. Have a field day with it. But none of these guys want that. None of these guys want that. So I don't even know what position they're arguing from.
I think that's the approach that you take.
Wait a minute. Like, so we're being legalistic about something that happened 2,000 years ago that we have all we have is the remnants of history, and we're now calling on somebody.
Fiction is an expression of an idea, right? A mythology is an expression of culture.
Right.
That's the difference.
Again, I want to point out, if you're arguing that the movie needs to be culturally relevant in a way that like uplifts Greek people, okay. But you're just arguing that you don't want Black people in the movie. That's the entire, like, all of this is because you don't want Black people in the movie. That's crazy.
Difference between the two.
Yeah, I can tell you, if you did this to the New Testament, to the life of Jesus, people would be up in arms.
Jesus has not often been portrayed as he actually would have looked. What the fuck are you talking about? Very quickly, let's go through this. The Last Temptation of Christ, 1988, Martin Scorsese. The film depicted Jesus, played by Willem Dafoe, who's a guy who's not Jewish, playing a Jewish character, struggling with doubt, fear, having a dream sequence where he lives a normal married life with Mary. This movie caused massive protest. It was banned in several countries. A Christian fundamentalist group literally petrol bombed a theater in Paris. And the movie is still regarded as a masterpiece. Jesus Christ Superstar, 1973. A rock opera that tells the story of Jesus through a modern theatrical lens. We have Jim Caviezel, who's played Jesus before in The Passion of the Christ. A white guy. So you're acting like the Bible has never been adapted. That's just a few of them. That's just a few of them. There's been more. What are you talking about, Al? And you're a film critic? You're supposed to be a film critic?
Yeah, but that's because the New Testament is only one book. But we have many different interpretations of
Right, but you're not going to go around race swapping the one book.
Well, right. Never been swapped. But Willem Dafoe, totally just like Jesus. Jim Caviezel, just like Jesus. So stupid.
Setting the fantastical elements of the story aside, was there a Troy? Was there a Trojan horse?
There was a Troy. They had found the city. It's been rebuilt 7 times.
Okay.
But even Troy being real doesn't matter. The Trojan, first of all, we don't even know if the Trojan horse is real. It doesn't seem practical, or it doesn't, like, I don't think there's any evidence. I have to look this up. I'm not going to do it right now, but I don't think there's any evidence of the Trojan horse being real. Troy being real doesn't mean anything because, again, it's just a place, it's just a location. And that doesn't mean the characters or any of the stories that happen in that place really happened. So stupid.
So it's real. We told them that this would happen. 10 years of making characters gay who aren't gay and different ethnicities and pushing this fucking message. All it does.
So different ethnicity. So you're mad about all the white people in the movie. Cool. Because the Greek people in the story would be ethnically Greek. The ancient Greek people had no concept of whiteness because if you guys didn't know, racial categories weren't created until like the 17th or 18th century. So they would have no concept of that. But in art, the skin color in Greek art that these guys would reference would be something along the lines of women being lighter in tone, where men being darker in tone, to denote the difference between men and women in some of their art. So that you would see that women stay indoors, their skin is lighter, the men work outdoors, their skin is darker. So by casting a bunch of people who are just white, it's not casting based on ethnicity. What a dumb argument. A dumb fucking argument.
Do a disservice to the very people. 10 years ago, people would not have had this reaction had we gotten a Lupita. We might have cocked an eyebrow, but let's see what he's doing. No one has patience for this shit anymore.
I agree with you 100%. But let me ask.
See, that is why I can't give Robert too much credit. He says he agrees with him 100%. About everything he just said. So he agrees with brain rot, and he's smart enough to know better. It's crazy.
Your question. This is a real question.
Okay.
Is King Arthur real? Was he a real historical figure?
I actually do think there was a historical King Arthur. Yes.
Oh, we have like some flat earth shit in here. King Arthur is real. Give me a break.
There's no precedent. There's no evidence that there's a King Arthur that actually
there
exists.
is. What do you think Arthur was based on? With where they did it on what he was a former Roman legionary.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to type this in right now. Is there any evidence that King Arthur existed? Let me see what a Google search tells me. I'm very curious here. It's purely speculation. Among modern historians and medieval scholars, the overwhelming academic consensus is there's no historical evidence that King Arthur ever existed. He's classified as a mythological and folkloric figure. Holy shit. Dumb fucking panel.
Point is that all of this mythology is based in some form of fact,
like every. So my question, let me take it further. Mm-hmm. Did you guys like Excalibur?
Here we go.
Loved it. Epic.
I love it too. I mean, there is nothing in Excalibur that has any bearing on any physical reality that ever existed ever.
Do you really think these are comparable? Your example?
They're absolutely comparable. You're comparing the folklore mythology of Greek people and the folklore and mythology of British people, specifically Welsh and Celtic people. That's what you're doing. He's caught you. You've been caught in a logical net. You are trapped in the corner. So now what's happening in his brain is he has to figure a way out of this, because you've just admitted now that you enjoyed a movie with fictional, folkloric, mythological elements in it that were not based on anything in the stories. But now you have to argue yourself out of this. You can look how angry he's getting.
Of Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet was my example of how these are not the same fucking thing. If this modern day, no one would have said anything.
But I do think that something like Excalibur is equatable to this.
It is 100%.
Because it's John Borman who is taking a myth about an area. That's actually a good point. He's taking a myth about England,
mm-hmm.
which is a myth that is expanded, and many people have written all kinds. How many King Arthur movies have there been? A lot.
Yep.
know, and so from all different areas, and to
this is what I mean by dog walking. All of these people on the panel are struggling to find a cohesive rebuttal to what Robert is saying, and the cognitive dissonance is setting in, that they're willing to accept all of these other things, all of these other folkloric mythological stories from people, poems and things like that. They're willing to accept the changes in these, but for some reason, the Odyssey is off limits. You can't change that. That has to be a one-to-one for what translation? I don't know. There's lots of translations of it, but they seem to think it's so important because black people were cast in the movie. All of this because of that.
Look at a movie like The Odyssey, which we haven't really. There's a great Italian TV version of The Odyssey that was done. That I don't know if anyone's seen it, but it's. I think it was from the 90s.
Angry Badger is seething up there. He's not even listening to what Robert is saying anymore. He's not even listening.
But I mean, so it's a different take. Why don't we all wait till we see it?
Exactly.
I think it's just like Badger was saying. It's the continued exposure and like hypocrisy paired together from the.
So you're just going to ignore what he just said. You're going to everything he just said. You're going to ignore it. And you're going to be like, let's just go back to what Angry Badger was saying because we have no other argument. Robert Meyer Burnett says, hey, just wait till you see it. But I just think we should go back to arguing about these changes that were made and accusing Christopher Nolan of doing DEI stuff. It's so pathetic.
Same exact people over and over again. And that's the thing is we've had like all this revisionist history stuff that's been building and building and building.
It's not revisionist history because it's mythology. But go off, Queen.
And then the same exact people literally like saying the opposite.
Who? Christopher Nolan? Same exact people? So what's the other example of Christopher Nolan doing some sort of like DEI woke movie? Give an example, just one.
Of what they are promoting and things like this. And I think it's just this mass scale like hypocrisy of people being like, all right, we're kind of over it.
Or what's the mass scale hypocrisy? You didn't articulate, you said a bunch of stuff there, but none of it was an articulation of an argument about hypocrisy.
It's a filmmaker working with his company of players that he's working with again, like so many other filmmakers that keep hiring the same actors.
Two things could be true. He could be working with all his friends and still be doing a disservice to the material.
But what proof do you have of that? This is what I'm saying. What evidence do you have? My question to him would be, prove to me that he's doing it for this reason. And if you can't, then shut the fuck up. Conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat stuff is so fucking frustrating.
He thinks it's for his own reasoning or not. Again, it's pattern recognition.
I bet you.
Oh, so now it's a pattern of behavior. So from now on, when you guys come in my comments, you're like, how are you going to call them grifters? Oh, it's pattern recognition. It's a pattern of behavior, right? That's all it is.
10,000 more people read the Odyssey next month than have ever read it in the last 10 years.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
And that's great. But that still doesn't mean that he's doing service to this movie.
So what would be service then? If he's getting more people out there reading the Odyssey after watching his movie, what other service could he be providing to the story? Couple things. First and foremost, this is moving the goalpost. This is just her moving the goalpost. If you're saying that what he is doing is harming the source material, but then Robert Meyer Burnett says, hey, but more people are going to go out and read it next month because of this, some 3,000-year-old book of poetry, people are going to go check it out after they watch this movie. And then you're like, oh yeah, but it doesn't matter. I still don't like that he cast black people. What is that? So you're saying that he's not doing it any favors. The biggest favor he could do is have people want to engage with the original source material. Outside of that, what other thing could people do to show up for the story of the Odyssey outside of watching Christopher Nolan's movie? What a dumb fucking statement. It's so stupid. Also, these are all oral poems that were passed down for generations. So before they were ever written down anywhere, it was a game of telephone between people. So we have no idea how much of this story is actually accurate to the way it was originally told before it was written down.
Or to this mythology. That'd be great if people picked up the Odyssey and read it. That'd be awesome.
It would be the only way they would show love to the story once they watch the movie. Outside of that, there is no other way. Fucking dumb shit.
But I mean,
if you really think
what does
about
that have to do with the fact that he miscast a lot of people in his movie?
I mean, if you really think about it, King Arthur could have been black.
Oh gosh. All right. So that was a great little video, right? I enjoyed that because Robert Meyer Burnett versus everyone. Angry Badger getting very angry. The woman on the panel, don't even know her name, saying dumb shit. The guy in the middle contributed absolutely nothing. And then everybody else just saying just more dumb stuff. This is not me going to bat for Robert Meyer Burnett. I still don't like him. I think he feeds into the culture war shit and he does a lot of dumb things. But every once in a while, and this is like the second or third time I've seen him on a panel with these guys, he gets under their skin because he starts talking like an adult. He starts talking rationally, and it steps all over their grift, and they don't know what to do. And Angry Badger is doing what he does best, being angry. Quite literally, that's what he does. But as you can see here, the entire argument about this is we don't care if the movie has fantastical elements. We don't care if he changes the story. We don't care any of these things that he does affect the movie in a way that takes away from the story in the Odyssey, as long as he cast all white people. They don't have to be Greek. They just got to be white. And that's the crazy shit being said on this panel. It's so dumb. This is a great piece of like grift on grift violence. I really enjoyed it. It exposes them for just how idiotic they are, how like one-dimensional their mind works. They can only focus on one thing. And once you try and take them off that path, they don't know which way to go. And it happened several times in this video. This was fantastic.